Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. We are out at Pappas. This is going to be good. I don't usually bring the chairs out and do the fight. We have a fireside here. The whole Kolarek family's out here. It's all brought to you by the Maryland Lottery. We're letting ourselves play, giving away some Raven scratch-offs. Had a $20 winner at that table about an hour ago. We gave a bunch of tickets away here at lunchtime to a group from Blue Cross Blue Shield. Good fun, good sports. Raven scratch-offs. Go to mdlottery.com to learn more. Our friends at Goodwill, big doings. On Wednesday, we're going to be serving turkey to about 3,000 folks down at the convention center. Our friends at Goodwill have put this together. I'm rolling my sleeves up, putting my mask on, reporting for duty at 10 a.m. Anybody who wants to participate and volunteer, Ness at BaltimorePositive.com. Got a handful of folks meeting us down there. I'm looking forward to that as well. And our friends, of course, at Window Nation, 866-90Nation, keeping me warm and safe and dry. I've been trying to get Bordick on for a while now, and in season, sometimes he works for the competitors or the Gypsies or whatever, and the Angelos. He's worked for everybody. But when I said crab cake, charity, I run into you at we ran at the basketball event? Is that where we ran into each other? Where were we?
I don't know.
No, it was Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth.
Absolutely, the Babe Ruth Museum gig, right?
Well, and you guys know each other, and you didn't know that I had already had Frank on, and I don't know him from who is this guy? And Don Moeller and then Moeller's grandson and Jeff and Adam Kolarek's here, Frank's here, and Bordy's here. This is. Y'all, baseball's something, isn't it? Brings people together, doesn't it?
No, this is great. Thanks for having us on, and looking forward to some great baseball talk, and then hopefully we could talk a little bit about our nonprofit that's doing such good things in the community. Well,
I mean, we talk about that first because these guys are here. Give me the genesis of, let's say, you two, because I know where you come along from, your arc as this incredible athlete. And this has been a bucket list couple weeks for me. I had Gina Schock on from the Go-Go's a couple weeks ago. I've been trying for 20 years to get her on. I'm still trying to get John Waters. You're not totally bucket list because I knew I was always one text away from getting – I knew I would eventually make company. I didn't know I'd meet your sister, your mother. The whole family's out here today. I didn't realize it would be that much fun. But how do you know each other? When did this happen and when – because there's – you loving baseball, I know of that through the Moeller family, and I've had you on the show. But, I mean, I get it honest. My last name's Aparicio. I don't have to explain sometimes how I got here. But how did this happen?
You want to start, Frank?
Well, Mike really got involved with us as a volunteer. We had the baseball connection, but then there was also some history with my days playing in the minor leagues with Oakland. Got to a AAA level, and Mike played, of course, with Oakland as he started his career. So there was
what years?
About 10 years difference. I played back in the we used to get the hand-me-downs from Gene Tennis.
Sal Bando,
that kind of thing.
Did you wear Campy Campaneris' trousers?
No,
did you?
I did too, man.
Mike Heath.
Mike Heath. Okay, all right.
So it was that era. It was in the mid-'70s, late '70s is when I played.
They were the team I hated the most. I think I told you this, right? The A's were my first Russia. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were the bad guys. 1973, Catfish Hunter, Blue Moon Odom, down the line.
All
I was
those
out
guys.
there my dad took me to the playoff games out there when Hunter pitched against, when Catfish and Palmer went at it. I was at that game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I still have my dad's scorecard from 73, 74, those playoff series, and they broke our hearts, but man, they look good, right? I mean, the green and the gold, right? I mean,
white shoes.
Oh man, you were playing. You had Billy Ball going on, man. That was next era. But Dick Williams, we didn't say Reggie, Joe Rudy, man. You were.
Ricky Henderson, right?
Well, Ricky was a little later. No,
Didn't
Ricky
he come up in the early 70s?
No, Ricky's 1980.
Yeah.
Ricky's not. I had his rookie card.
Yeah,
this is where I'm a nerd.
Okay.
We played.
You don't argue baseball with me, Bordick. I know things.
Reggie in the early.
Only Mr. Angelos thought I didn't know things. I know so much. It's insane. But the A's in the early 70s, I mean, you were in a special place, right?
No question. I mean, and coming out of Maryland, playing my college ball there, going out to Arizona for the first time, going to spring training. It was crazy exciting. I mean, because for 73, 4, and 5, they're winning the World Series. I sign and go out in 76, and there they are. I mean, that pitching staff of Hunter and Holtzman and those kind of guys. It was
Vida. Got to get Vida in there. Come on.
But I'm a young guy, and I'm right in spring training for my first year. I'm just trying to make a team and not do anything stupid.
Not piss Reggie off.
Well, you just stay clear of those guys.
You stay away from Reggie.
That was a year that he was traded back to Baltimore. So
76.
Yep. So I could see things happening in the daytime, and I would call my dad on the one phone in camp. It was a paid phone, and he worked at Westinghouse.
So you're in Arizona then?
Yeah, we're in Mesa, Arizona.
All right.
And could call and say, "Hey, Dad, Reggie's coming to Baltimore." No way. I'm telling you, he's going to be traded. So he could take that info into the warehouse at night at Westinghouse and have inside information about what was going to happen.
Well, no one had to ask why they were trading Reggie's because the owner's crazy, right? I mean, the owner was crazy, right?
It was quite an organization.
Did you ever play with an orange baseball or any of that stuff?
Not quite.
But you know about it.
Of course. And then even back then, they weren't sure out of spring training where the big league team was going, if they were going to Denver or Oakland, because there was always somebody in the background getting ready to buy the team. But for my purposes, I was just glad to leave on the Modesto bus to go up to play in Cal League for the first time.
Well, you guys being men of baseball, where you're born into you never saw him play. You're like so young. It's so weird to me, that they just get younger and younger and younger. What year were you born, Adam?
So I'm not as young as you might think. I was born in '89. I saw Mike play plenty of times.
You were 8 years old.
Well, yep.
Yeah.
And then in the backyard, I'm fielding ground balls, pretending I'm Mike Bordick and turning double plays.
Do you know about this? Or you ever heard this?
I've heard this story.
Yeah.
Yes, I have.
It's not made up either. We didn't just say it when Mike.
He's still
became a
blushing.
family
Look, he's
friend.
turning red.
No, that's the
It's
real deal.
unbelievable.
I'm a lefty, but I was still protecting that ball from going up the middle and throwing it to Paul Mero at first base. So I was acting it all out, and now to get to know Mike on a more personal level, and it's very special. Just as I still feel like a baseball kid, even though I'm about to turn 34, and I've been playing for a while now. But I still feel like a kid at heart.
You're 34.
About to be in January.
God,
yeah.
I feel like you're still 26 to me, right?
I feel good. I can pose as 26.
No, I mean it happens quickly. I mean career, right?
Sure.
You still feel 26, right?
No, not even close. I wish.
How long did you play? When you were with the Mets in the World Series, how old were you? His age, yeah.
I was, let's see, I'd been in the league for 10 years, so I was probably 34.
Right.
Maybe 33, 34.
Well,
Yeah.
For you having had this preparation and been around successful athletes and whatnot, I got 3 generations of baseball players here, but you're here for a great cause. And give me that root again about this Oakland. Because Charlie Finley didn't even own the team when you were there, right?
No.
Long gone.
The green and gold, though, is in all our hearts right now because even
Right.
Adam played for Oakland the past couple years. So, anyway, I think it was in Camden Yards, and Tim Bishop, the strength and conditioning coach with the Orioles at the time, said, "Hey, I want to introduce you to somebody," and it was Frank Kolarek. And he had just started a nonprofit called the League of Dreams, started in his backyard right in Catonsville, Maryland. So homegrown and just salt of the earth people to get this thing going. He asked if I wanted to help volunteer with it, and I did. And he stayed with me and kind of kept calling me, for some events. And one thing led to another. And as the League of Dreams grew, we put together a board, and I was nominated as the chairman of the board a few years ago. So it's fun to be a part of it. It's an honor to be a part of it, and really a blessing as well.
When did it start?
2003. So we just completed our 19th.
I mean, you're a boy at this
19th
time,
year.
right? I mean, you're 15, 16 years old, right?
Yeah, I mean,
You wanted to be a big leaguer, but there was no guarantee, right?
No
doubt.
You're just a baseball family. You were going to do
That's
this
right.
no matter what, right?
That's exactly right. And I got involved as a young minor league player working with kids with disabilities. Didn't know anything about technically disabilities, but I knew that a player can have access. And if I wanted to bring kids on the field or in the dugout, I could do that as a pro player. And then when Mike got involved, it helped take us to another level. And Adam's been helping me and all my kids, 4 children, have been helping me ever since they were little and can come out and help with kids with disabilities. It's been huge. We started out with 17 children, 17 families in Catonsville.
In 03.
03, and 19 years later, we've grown to about 31,000 children we serviced and about 29,000 volunteers. We have partnerships with Major League Baseball alumni and Cal Ripken Senior Foundation. So we work with any kid, any disability, get them involved with the game, having teammates, just the same things, the beautiful things that we all gain from being a part of a team, experiences, challenges, teammates, families being proud of you. So it's the same. Baseball's our platform, but we welcome any child with any disability and make it work for them. And have a guy like Mike, Hall of Fame with the Orioles. He's a Hall of Fame with League of Dreams. Adam, as a young guy, high school, college, and then into the pros, because our kids followed him, all along his way. They would text me at night, "Hey, Coach, I just saw Adam pitch at Camden Yards." And
every night you pitched, Franco's was on fire. I was there. I'm telling you. I mean, lose a friend of mine too, and I knew eventually I'd have you on. At some point, I mean, talking about what you guys are doing and dragging you out for a crab cake today and all that, but. Give me a typical, what's going to happen next year? April, May, June, and getting involved, leagues. How does it work with, okay, my child's how old? 6, 8, 10, 12, 21? What's the range on that?
We'll have a school-based program, kids from about 6 years old to 21. Because when they're 21, they basically opt out of the school.
Make them a coach.
No, they can play as adults,
okay.
just like we
Sure.
play as adults. That's the beauty of it. They don't have to, not going to outgrow the disability, and then they become out of the school system, so they can basically play in adult centers. There's a lot of agencies around town that take these children that are now adults, put them in work environments or adult daycare, and we're kind of that sports element of that. So we'll have programs in schools, and then we'll have programs in the summer in camps. But we've been very fortunate, and I think through all the connections I have, we've been able to do things at the University of Maryland, in Cole Fieldhouse, at the ballpark at Shipley Field, at Camden Yards. We've taken 40 to 80 kids in Camden Yards and be able to play on that field. Adam's helped me forever, and now that he's a pro, he brings his buddies out to different events that we do, and it's powerful.
Well, I know amongst the community of athletes, whether it's, this week alone, I told this story earlier, and Ron Snyder's a friend of mine, has a friend who's struggling, stage 4, someone our age, it's in a battle, he reached to me and said, "You got anybody who would shoot a little video?" I reached to Bordick, and then I reached to Joe Flacco, and then I reached to Brian Billick, and then I reached to Rob Woodson, then I reached to Todd Heap, and then I reached to Matt Stover, and it just happens. Like within an hour, Joe Flacco is sitting in his house with a Jets hat on, and within 5 minutes, Bordick's back on me, and within by the next day, I got 6 video. It's easy to say yes to this kind of thing, and I think you being the modern guy here, bringing that into these, even when you get traded to other organizations or move around or sign a free agent deal this offseason, you make new friends and you find new people that just say yes to this kind of thing, right? It's easy to be kind, is it?
Right, and it's a lot easier than people think. I think it's, I started coming to these events in my high school jersey, and then I got to do it in my Terps jersey, and then a Durham Bulls, minor league jerseys, and I've gotten to do it now in a Rays and Dodgers jersey. And these, what I'm trying to say is these kids, when I show up with a jersey, it doesn't matter what the jersey says. They see a young athlete who's playing a game that they want to play, that they wish that they could play at that same level, and the fact that I bring teammates and they can contribute, it just means so much to these kids. And all it takes is seeing it one time and to realize the difference you can make. And all of us, we can all make a 30-second or 3-minute video for somebody because it takes such a small amount of time out of our day. But when you learn early on how big of a difference that can make, you realize that you want to keep doing these things. It's not just a one-time thing. I've had teammates volunteer who've then done things on their own, and that's the kind of impact you can create. And I think people, just that taking that first step and realizing that I can sacrifice 10 minutes out of my time to volunteer at one of our events and just say hello to the kids and take some pictures, and that's something that takes 10 minutes, and they talk about it for 70 years.
I did an event out in L.A. at the Super Bowl, and they've been trying to drag me for years, and it's a little bit of an in-joke, but not. Military group of amputees playing football, right? Snoop Dogg's involved in this. A lot of NFL alums. Every year they do it, right? Snoop's all-stars, and it's Wounded Warriors and like all that. And you have to have some amputation. I'm missing a finger. So they've been trying to get me out to play, and I'm like, hammies, old guy, whatever. This year, they put me in my element, Bordy. They made me the announcer on the field with the microphone to just rib everybody. it's a gig game. It's fun, but it's competitive as hell. There's a dude with no legs that goes on his hands to sack it's flag football, to sack the like. It's unbelievable. And I'm out in L.A. in the sunset, and then I'm out there, and I'm thinking, why haven't I done this why didn't I do this in Houston and Phoenix or wherever? And, like, I would never not do it again. I would never not. I don't need to be the announcer. I'd just go and stand in the sidelines and just watch it because it's so inspiring.
It is.
Right?
It is.
You're inspired 99 miles an hour and, striking guy. Like, but this is a whole different level of inspiration when you see people who can't do it, I mean, it's special what you do or what any of you have done. But when you see people strive to just to play, right?
Yeah.
For the sake of playing.
It's a great perspective, too. And Mike reminds me all the time not only the value for our children to have an opportunity to be a part of the game, but also the volunteers like Adam had talked about. It gives you a perspective that really is probably more valuable for the volunteer. For you, for us guys, to be out there and realize how blessed we are and how we can give back at a very minimum way sometimes, but it goes a long way. I bring those kids to Camden Yards or University of Maryland, wherever. Those parents, are watching their kids be exalted, feel normal. That's what they want them to feel, normal. And the tears are streaming, the pictures are being taken. And just as Adam said is right, might be 10 minutes out of a guy's day that's looked up to in that sense. But it's going to change these kids' lives.
Well, you've been in a couple organizations. You were a young man. Now you're probably a little bit more. You bring your ring. You didn't bring his ring today, but didn't want to show it to me. I was rooting for you, man. I was up late. Janet Marie got one, too. So, we have other Dodgers involved. But when you get exposed to something like that, to your point, I'm going to go back to my Catonsville and do that sort of thing, right? I mean, every ball player's got a thing. Right? It has a cause, something that they do somewhere that matters to them. And, League of Dreams, how can people get involved? Give me a little
websites.
Give them a 25-cent speech here. Come on.
Websites, the best way to reach us, leagueofdreams.org. And we'll get back to you. You can take a look at our calendar online, but also get a chance to see ways to be involved. And you may not think that you have something to offer, but I guarantee you do. So contact us. We'll contact you back. We have our schedule up for next year by the first of the year, and we're spreading out throughout the whole state. And with the Ripken Foundation, we do a lot of things out of state too. But it's still focused here locally. It's a very local grassroots program. There's a great need for it. It really is, and we're privileged to be able to do it.
Well, I'm privileged to have these guys here. We're at Pappas and Cockeysville. We're doing the Maryland Crab Cake Tour presented by the Maryland Lottery. I had some Raven scratch-offs to give away. I'm putting the Crab Cake Tour together again in December. We got some dates on Fridays on hold. I'll have the full schedule up for everybody. It's all brought to you by the Maryland Lottery in conjunction with our friends at Window Nation, 866-90Nation, and, of course, Goodwill, where on Wednesday we're going to be doing some good things. Mike Bordick is here. Frank Kolarek's here. Adam Kolarek's here. You promised we're going to do, like, some baseball chatter, right? So
hey, yeah.
Do you want to lead that discussion?
I want
to know where he's signing,
I hope it's soon, man.
Give me the free agent. Were you ever a free agent?
Yeah, I was. That's when I came to Baltimore, man.
That's right. You were traded over. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So that's a different kind of deal, right? Just in general.
Yeah, it's different. That's for sure. And
you're nervous for him. I'm seeing this already.
I'm nervous. I'm excited. I think there are opportunities, obviously, for Adam. Crafty lefty that drops down to the side. There aren't many of those in the game, and I think everybody needs that kind of piece in their bullpen.
See that Oriole bird over the shoulder. It's just back there. That's fine. We're a contender, man. We're a contender. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Couldn't have said that before at any point in your lifetime, but we're a contender. But nonetheless.
Don't jump the gun now on the contender thing. We just made it over 500.
We're a contender. I'm here selling tickets for the Angelos fellas. Come on now.
Okay.
Well, it feels to me like there's a different energy here. Frank, you would agree with that. I mean, right?
Oh, there's no question. I was involved in scouting for years, and it takes a long time to put the pieces together. And there's no question that they've crossed over and some good fortune with the right draft picks, with people being healthier, not those injuries that have come up. And they're starting to learn together. And like Adam will tell you, I mean, he was with the Tampa, and a lot of those guys were in AAA. It's very similar, right? And then come up to the big leagues together, and you kind of, you come up as a family and, grow up, like big league grow up. But I do see that with this club, and I've seen it with some, with Tampa. and a couple other clubs that, you got to hang in there, though. But people here love the Orioles, and now I think last year that became evident.
This is an awakening for the franchise. This is a real opportunity.
It is a crossroads. There's no doubt.
To not just win the city, but make it a place where I'm at Pappas every night all next summer. The game will be on, and there'll be plenty of people watching the game and knowing who's coming out of the bullpen, maybe, or not. But and for you, free agency, finding a place, finding an opportunity, finding a place you can excel, right? I mean, you've been in different kinds of organizations at this point. I was in Oakland seeing Pearl Jam at the Coliseum in May. COVID was still a thing because half the band was missing. They didn't have their drummer. You guys were playing a game against the Angels. The Angels were starting a pitcher that was like sensational, and it was his first start. And there were, 1,200 people in a stadium. It's just a different, it's different city to city, situation to situation, organization to organization.
That's for sure. I've seen kind of a wide variety of what major league teams are out there. I've seen Tampa, smaller market, but have a lot of success. Obviously, LA has the biggest market with a ton of success. And Oakland, that area, make no mistake, is not a small market. The people are there. And I've seen the Coliseum, not while I was playing there, but playing against them, be almost sold out. And how that enormous of a place can have that many people.
I was there the night of the crotch chop game, the Tejada game.
Yeah.
One of the best baseball games I've ever seen. Zito and Pedro in Game 5, 2003, 4, wherever that was, right before Tejada came here. Place, and there was a lot of Red Sox fans, but I've been there. I was there for AFC Championship games. I've seen them win an AFC. I've been in that. I love that building. That building has a smell. That building reminds me of Memorial Stadium. Yeah, I always tell you that.
Yeah.
The bowl of it, every part of being in that stadium, it feels like 33rd Street to me. So I have a soft spot for, as much as I said I hated the A's as a kid and all that, I that's a place I like seeing baseball games, strangely. I know that doesn't equate to your good experiences in other places and the rats that are in the locker room, but that's a different place you were this year, and in those circumstances this year. That's tough.
Absolutely, but the team, is almost similar to the Orioles, where they have a lot of draft picks that are now making their debuts and getting their first opportunity at the big league level. So, obviously they have a couple more years of probably developing the core that they've now promoted, but a lot of talent is there, and once you have that talent, you can bring in the free agents and build around, the core that's already there. So it'll be interesting to see, how Oakland, continues to grow and where they go and if they stay, and that's a whole other topic. But yeah, I'm glad I got to play there, both for the home side and on the visiting side.
Teach me about analytics. You kids today. Right? Have you known a world of anything other than that, right? To some degree?
Yeah, I think actually my timing, especially being drafted in 2010, making my debut in 2017, just guys that came along, and the things that organizations talk to you about on a daily basis has changed dramatically. Tampa and Oakland both kind of renowned for their analytical approach and how finding the value in players at a lower cost, and how do you have success with that? And you can criticize for different reasons how they go about trading away all their superstars once they get too expensive, but they always find a way to rebuild. And both Tampa and Oakland, over the last 15-20 years, you look up at the end of the year and they're usually near the top of their divisions, and they still have a lot of success even though they're doing it a different way.
You've been with the rich and the poor, but never in the middle anywhere, right? I don't say normal, but abnormal circumstances everywhere you've played in the big leagues. Just something different than just being in a town that's just supported and fighting for it, right?
Right. No, that's very true. And I think now what's happening is the analytical side is taken the next step, and now the fan is aware of what the players are being evaluated on. I don't think 5 years ago any fan would have known what launch angle and what spin rate, number one, meant in general, but what it means as a result. And, I now know, the different hand degree that my hand approaches on a sinker and what that degree needs to be to get X amount of movement vertically and horizontally. And when that
He's a scientist, this guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So and now making adjustments as a player, you're taking a very finite detail, and that is now what you focus on. It's not the old school stuff that we grew up as kids, just get your arm on top, or when you hit the ball, you follow through a certain way. Now there's reason to every single detail of a person's swing and of a person's throw, and it is certainly complicated, a very simple game, but it's the way it is.
But situationally, for what you do, situation to situation to come in, they always say leveraging, right? I mean, you're there. That would be your thing, is to leverage a situation to give such an advantage that we just would have said, lefty on lefty, righty on righty. What are the matchups? And I had a guy reach to me a couple weeks ago, and I just literally found it yesterday. He's writing a book on Earl Weaver, right? Good and bad Earl, like a real story about Earl, but more about that analytic thing. He's brought up in Moneyball as the godfather of analytics and all of that. But he's writing a book about how Earl was the first one to sort of bring that math and have note cards to some degree. Now, flash forward to where you are, where there's 4D video and all of that, and how they pick you, or the computer picks you to be the guy that's going to be in this circumstance because of what you do, right? Literally.
Absolutely, and the scouting world has changed so much, and the coaching world has changed so much, where now the mission is, how do I find a player who may not have the successful ERA right now or the successful strikeout rate right now, but he has these little pieces that if I got my hands on him, we could adjust. Maybe he has a great sinker, but he's throwing it over here. If I can just get him to throw it over here, now he's going to see that success in ERA and the typical numbers that you're looking for in a good player. So I think the better teams know how to find that diamond in the rough, as far as somebody who's not the typical. Just because someone throws 100 versus someone who throws 90. That used to be a typical gauge. I'll take the guy who throws 100, but if this guy who throws 90 can do 4 other things with movement and get more people out in that particular way, then we'll go after that cheaper, less obvious player.
They would have stuck Greg Maddux in Double-A, right? That would have been the end for him, right?
How about
Literally, McGregor.
I know,
I'm thinking these softer toss.
They don't even make the board. Guys that throw under 85 miles an hour. I mean, under 90 now. You're not even on a board a lot of times unless you have a unique, delivery and have some, a dynamic that can kind of trick hitters. That deception, if you will. So, and you got to have that extra movement too, which I think in a lot of ways analytics is good to help kind of develop that with certain guys, but you still see guys with 5-6 earned run averages. You still see hitters with over 200 punch outs and hitting 240. I think the league average is around 240. So I don't know if the game's gotten better because of analytics or if it's gone down a little bit. I mean, you can argue kind of both sides of it. I think as a player, you always want to find ways to get better, as long as it's not steroids. But if you can, get your hand in a different position to increase velocity on your fastball or get more movement, and if you're a hitter, if you can just tweak one little thing, it might be just a bat angle they look at, or maybe just how you start your load as a hitter, or when your foot gets down. That could be huge impacts on your batting average, on how you see the ball, how you deliver the ball, and things like that.
Do you guys wish you had what he has from a – it feels overloading, and it feels like a lot of work, right? But, I mean, I was around Tony Gwynn in San Diego. He had his own little room and videotapes, and he was willing to put the time in, and there wasn't science, and Lord knows the Padres didn't have a budget for that sort of thing in but he cared enough to care enough. Now, you play for the Dodgers. There's nothing they couldn't bring in to help you, right, if it was going to help you. But some of that would be overwhelmed. I mean, to me, I'm overwhelmed as a fan when I put on the World Series or put on the playoffs. And to your point, spin rate, launch. Okay, what does it mean? What does it mean? Teach me what it means, right? They teach you what it means.
Right. And I think at first, how I talked about my first couple years in minor league ball to the last couple years. In that middle time, they really debated how much do we want to tell the player. Like they started collecting all the information, making decisions based on information, but how much do we tell the player? And I think what they're finding is having that open dialogue. And you see now there's so many coaches and assistant coaches and behind the scenes guys that you don't necessarily see in the dugout, but these people that teams are hiring are very helpful, and they're able to communicate in a way. A lot of them weren't players, but they have the information, and then they'll tell a pitching coach who was the player, what the information means, so you can kind of meet in the middle and have the best of both worlds, where you're not out there on the mound trying to get somebody out and you're thinking about angles and degrees to such a small, perfect, positioning. But, how can we meet in the middle to not overload the player but still give him the information to make him the best he can be?
I knew it was going to be great having him on. Thanks for bringing him out.
Yeah, I will say this, though. I still think it all comes down to, you can have these analytics and pictures of arm angles and things like that, but if you're not confident when you take the field, and if you're not mentally strong enough when you take the field, you are not going to have success. I don't care what they show you with analytics. So the mental side of Major League Baseball, and I guarantee you these guys will attest to that, is probably, in my opinion, bigger than any analytic you can put out there, whether or not you have confidence. Now, sometimes analytics might help build that confidence if you have success with it, but I can understand how it could be just a tremendously grueling process to mentally wrap your head around something that they show you on video. So you have to, if you do this will help your game. Well, how long does it take for all of a sudden that to work out for you to where you feel good enough to trust it in a game? So so much of this game is mental, and I think that might be a huge part of it as well, though I'm sure they have mental coaches that get on the players.
Success and failure, right? It's a lot of failure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you keep having failure, man, oh, man, you better hang on to that ship tight because it can go down fast. The game will eat you up.
Well, I want to continue this conversation over Crab Cake. Mike Bordick's here, Frank Kolarek, Adam Kolarek. Make sure you're getting out to League of Dreams. I keep calling it Field of Dreams. Well, I wonder why.
We got to get the Kevin Costner endorsement, and then we'll change the name. But for now, it's League of Dreams.
Get the Field of Corn and all that. We're going to come back. We're at Pappas. It's all brought to you by our friends at the Maryland Lottery. Had a $20 winner here a little earlier. We're at Pappas in Cockeysville. We're talking about Glen Burnie and Parkville. We're going to have some folks on from Pappas. They've had 50 years now, the Pappas family, and it's the only way I get Bordick out. To give them a crab cake at Pappas. Our friends at Window Nation and, of course, Goodwill as well, sponsoring what we're doing around here. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody out there early. Pumpkin everything. I'm a mincemeat pie guy, a little cinnamon ice cream, a little a la mode. Hey, remember, it's not pie if it's not a la mode. So stay. Adam's going to stay with us. Frank's going to stay with us. Mike's going to stay with us. We're going to come back. I want to talk about shifts a little bit. Certainly want to talk about the Orioles. And is there anything else we got to talk about? I don't know. You want to promote the next segment?
Yeah. Hey, welcome back. What are we doing in the next segment? Talking about the Orioles?
Baseball.
Okay, just more baseball to come. Let's go. Stay with us.
Hot stove. Hot crab cakes. Back for more on Baltimore Positive from Pappas right after this.